All signs point to a coming era of more powerful paddles. And if you want to get in on that action, this is a paddle that probably deserves your attention. The new Kevlar Mark 1 from Mark Pickleball plays hot and is truly amongst the cream of the crop, both in terms of power paddles and Kevlar paddles. The Mark 1 brings a lot to the table in terms of power and pop, and sets itself apart from other power paddles with a uniquely low swing weight and a high performance to cost ratio. With the Mark 1 coming in at $143 after this channel's discount code, making it one of the best value Kevlar paddles on the market. At this point, I've played with most of the industry's leading Kevlar paddles, and I mean it when I say that the Mark 1 brings some unique and special features. So let's get right into the details. If you're familiar with Mark Pickleball's Kinetic, the Mark 1 is essentially a cosmetic facelift of that. You should expect it to play the exact same as the Kinetic, but the Mark 1 will be replacing it in Mark Pickleball's lineup. The Mark 1 deviates from the typical red Kevlar look and has added some neon colors. And in addition to the 5.3-inch handle length that was on the original Kinetic that is moving forward to the Mark 1, there is now also the Mark 1X option, which shares the same design and overall shape features as the Mark 1, but has a 5.75-inch handle length option for added reach in two hands if that's something you prefer. The Mark 1 is thermoformed and hybrid shaped with a flared paddle shape face that carries the exact same footprint as 6.0's Ruby, but those two paddles play extremely different. As the Ruby falls into the all-court category, the Mark 1 is clearly more power-oriented. In addition to the shape of the paddle being hybrid, the materials that compose the Mark 1 are also hybrid as well, with the paddle being a Kevlar carbon fiber hybrid, and like I said before, this paddle plays hot. And if you're in the market for a power paddle with high levels of pop, this may be what you're looking for. Its average drive speed came in at 57.9 miles per hour, which puts it at an overall number 5 for my complete paddle database. When comparing that to other Kevlar paddles, it was just a fraction lower than the Viva Pro Gen 3, which was my highest velocity producing Kevlar at 58.8 miles per hour. The Mark 1 was in the same ballpark as the Body Helix X3 Pro and the J2k Pro, and well above average recorded speeds for the Proline Energy S and the 6.0 Ruby. I found this to be pretty evident in gameplay, as the Mark 1 was very aggressive on drives, and winners on overheads were pretty much a given. The big advantage to the Mark 1, especially when compared to other Kevlar power paddles like the Body Helix X3 Pro and X3 and the Viva Pro Gen 3, is that even with all that power it brings, it maintains a low swing weight at 116. And that's compared to a swing weight of 130 for the X3 Pro, 124 for the X3 Lite, and 124 for the Viva Pro Gen 3. This made the Mark 1 easy to maneuver and adjust in gameplay without sacrificing power or stability, with the twist weight of the Mark 1 also being very generous at 6.68, which created a pretty decent sized sweet spot. The paddle face of the Mark 1 has a bit more of a stiff feel to it, which reminded me a lot of how the bread and butter Filth felt, just with a larger sweet spot, and like the Filth, the ball seems to be really reactive and fly off the face of the paddle with a lower dwell time. This made me very confident in hands battles at the net, and it never left me wanting or needing more pop or power, and I felt myself winning a larger than normal amount of hands battles when I was up at the net. Spin levels came back high, with RPMs measured at 2,150, which puts it in my high spin category alongside paddles like the J2k Pro and the Neonic Flow. And if you truly want a top performing Kevlar power paddle with a low swing weight, I think there really is just one big comparison, and that's between the Mark 1 and the J2k Pro. Both of these two paddles come in the power paddle category with low swing weights, high twist weights, and a great value, both of which hit around that $145 mark with the PBMed discount code. Their differences during play, however, are quite different, and I think separates people into one of two categories. Both hit hard and have high average drive speeds, but the pop is notably larger with the Mark 1. This makes it so the J2k is easier to control, but the Mark 1 is much more dangerous in hands battles and put-away shots. Of the paddle faces is quite different as well, with the J2k Pro having a more plush feeling face and the Mark 1 having a stiffer, more reactive feeling face. So between these two options, if you're a person that really struggles with control, the J2k Pro may be the better option, but if you want a higher level of pop on hands battles and putaways, the Mark 1 is going to be your go-to. Overall, I think the Mark 1 is a super solid paddle and it's going to be popular for a long time, particularly among people who like power, pop, and maneuverability. And that's my take on the new Kevlar paddle from Mark Pickleball, the Mark 1. I hope the review was helpful, and if it was, hit that subscribe button and I'll catch you here for the next one.